Good evening, all, and welcome to today's class. Today is our second class, and we'll be taking the second topic, which is SAP Plant Maintenance Organization. So basically, we are going to be looking at the organizational levels in plant maintenance. So the organizational levels in plant maintenance are structured as follows. The first level is the client. And what is a client? You say the client is the highest level element of all organizational units. It corresponds, for example, to a corporate group with several subsidiaries within a client. So a client is the highest level. It represents the company itself. So you cannot implement SAP plant maintenance without first defining the client. If your company is, for example, Dangote group, then you have to define in the system that this company is Dangote Group with a code. If your company is XYZ group, you have to define XYZ in the system so that anytime you are logging in to your system, you are logging into that company. And that's why whenever you try to log into SAP, part of the few things that the system will ask you for is your username, your password, and the client. So you can see the client here. So this client is defined in the system. So as far as this demo system is concerned, the company, as far as this demo system is concerned, the company here, which is the client we are logging into, is represented with 800. So the client code is 800, and this is defined. This is defined at the time of SAP installation by the basis consultant. I explain who a basis consultant is. So these are people who are responsible for SAP installation, system preparation for SAP, and all of that. So they will define the client. So also you can also look at the client as the database. So the database ID or the client can also be referred to as the database ID, because when you are logging in, you are logging into a particular database. You are logging into a particular database if you are when you are logging into SAP. So that database key or ID is represented by that client code. So that's why when you log in, you are only able to see the you're only able to.
Oh, that's why Ingo was texting you because you forgot.
Sorry, can you mute, please, David?
Oh, sorry, my bad.
So that database you are logging into, you're only able to see the data for that company, for a particular company. And you can never see data for another company when you log into a particular client. That's why when you log into, for example, Shell SAP, you are seeing only Shell data because you are logging into their database, and their database is represented by the client, which is the name of the corporate group or the name of the company. Likewise, Dangote, Total, any company at all. So if you are defining a new system for a client or for a company, you must define that client code. Is the highest level, is at the top before any other thing can come under. So the second organizational level, which is also very important, is the maintenance plant. So when you have defined your corporate group or your client, let's assume it's XYZ company. So under XYZ, maybe they're into this XYZ is into palm oil production. They're also into maybe groundnut oil production. Maybe they're also into um, sugar production, and they're also into maybe cement, just for example. So this is a company that has different plants where different kinds of products are produced. So XYZ company produces palm oil in a particular location. Let's call it that location 1000. That is the code for that location. Groundnut oil location, production happens in plant 2000. Why sugar production in plant 3000, and then cement production in plant 4000. So it is your job as a consultant to go study this company, how they are organized, how their structure is. So from this example, you see that this company has like 4 branches. These branches may be in different locations. They could be in one city, but in different places. They could be in one country, but in different states. They could be in globally, but in different countries. So as long as these are different arms of this company, they are defined in the system as plants. And as long as you have your technical assets in this individual plant, then this could also be referred to as a maintenance plant, because maintenance will take place here. All the machines, all the technical assets that you have in this location will require maintenance. So you need to define in the system your maintenance plan. So a maintenance plan is an organizational unit where equipment are installed and maintenance is carried out. Then maintenance planning plant is another level, organizational level. So for using this example, XYZ company, uh, maybe there is another plant also in this organization called um, head office. And this head office is represented with plan code 5000. So this head office is where administrative activities take place. It's also where planning take place. So all the planner groups or all the individuals that are responsible for planning maintenance activity are sitting in this plant. So you are defining plant 5000 as a planning plant. So you now create some planner groups under it. So you may have planner group like planner group 10, which represents um, mechanics, planner group 10. You could also have planner group 20, which represent electricians. Sorry, let me let someone in. Okay, Chike, welcome, and please, can you mute, please? So you could also have another planner group, instrumentation planner group 30. So this is you defining the planners for maintenance task, and all these planners will be sitting in the head office planning activities in these various uh, operational plants. So once you have a dedicated plant like plant 5000 as a planning plant and planner groups are assigned to it, then this head office now becomes a planning plant. Another configuration is you can, in each of these operational plant, you can also utilize them as a planning plant. So your maintenance plan can also be equal to planning plant. So your planner group, maintenance plan equals to planning plant. So this maintenance plan 1000 doubles as a maintenance plan and as a planning plan, meaning that these planner groups will be sitting here. So you are doing maintenance and planning in the same plant. But in a situation where you are doing maintenance in one plant and then you are planning from another plant, then you have to define a separate planning plant for it. So all your planner groups are created under the plant, which is the planning plant. That's why we have what? Maintenance planning plan. So a maintenance planning plan is organizational units in which maintenance requirements are planned. As we go further, you will see the need for this maintenance planning. Then maintenance planner groups are those individuals. It's an individual or group of individuals that are responsible for planning maintenance activity and they are sitting in the planning plan. So if the planning plan is separate from the maintenance plan, they'll be sitting in that planning plant. But if the maintenance plan is the same as the planning plan, then they are sitting in the maintenance plant. So the planner group, this is a person or group of persons responsible for planning maintenance tasks. Then the next level is the work center. So a work center is an organizational unit where work can be carried out. Example for work centers: machine, group of machines, persons, group of persons. So the reason why I'm taking time to explain this concept are these are the most important little concepts you need to understand from the beginning. Then life will be easy for you. So work centers are simply the workshops available. Workshops. Okay, so you could have a workshop for mechanics. You could have a workshop for electricians. And these are people who are responsible for carrying out this maintenance activity. So they are called work centers. A work center can even be a machine. For example, if you have a dozer, a bulldozer, that bulldozer is responsible for carrying out a particular task, maybe excavation task. Okay, or if you have maybe a robot that is designed to do certain kind of maintenance, then that is also a work center. As long as a person or group of persons or a machine is designed to uh, intervene during maintenance requirement or is designed to carry out maintenance activity, that becomes what? A work center. So in work center, you plan a lot of things. You plan your costs. You can tie costs to your work center and you will say, okay, if this particular work center works for 1 hour, it translates to so amount. Okay, you can also use work center for scheduling and capacity planning. So at every time you know the capacity utilization for that work center. Okay, the work center has 5 people. At the moment, 2 are working somewhere. So we have a balance of 3. So you can easily know the capacity availability for the next task. So you use work center to plan costing uh, and also capacity planning. As we move on, these points will be clearer. But for now, just understand what this concept means in maintenance. Client, maintenance. For Nosa, who is conversant with material management, for Nosa, who is conversant with material management, you agree with me that in material management, we also have this kind of organization. Okay, we have the organizational levels in material management. We have the client is always there. The client is always there as the first. And this is the first because it comes during installation of the system. Then once it is created, other organizational levels attached to it. So in material management, after the client, we have the company codes. So company codes at that level in material management represent these different um, locations. But again, in this case, they themselves represent um, companies of their own. In material management, a company could represent a company under a corporate group. For example, look at Dangote. Dangote has a refinery. Dangote refinery is a group, is a company of its own under Dangote group. Dangote Cement is a company of its own under Dangote group. So the highest level is the client, which is the group. Then other smaller companies are under the group. Okay, in terms of material management, and these companies have their own. They present their own balance sheet at the end of the year, or depending on how the corporate group requires them to do that. They have their own profit and loss account that they are maintaining. They have their own balance sheet. So they are basically companies under the bigger group or the bigger company. So in material management, you have company codes under client. You have you also have plants under the company. So each company code now has plants. In this case, it's not maintenance plant per se. They're storage plants because you buy a material, you must store it somewhere. Then under the storage plant, we now have storage locations. So there are further subdivision of the plant. And then you now have other smaller units like the bin location, which is like that space where the material is sitting in the warehouse. So in the material management too, you have these organizational levels. If you go to finance model, you have its own organizational levels. Whatever model, even in sales and distribution, you have their own organization. So in plant maintenance, which is what we are studying today, we also have our own organizational units. And these are the organizational units, very, very important. So the reason why we need all of this is to be able to tailor our requests, which we are creating, or documents that we are creating in the system to a particular location. So if we need to report an activity on this plant 1000, then in the document we are creating, we must specify that it is plant 1000. If there's a problem on plant 2000, then we need to reference plant 2000 in our document. If the problem in plant 2000 is something that is related to mechanics, mechanical activity, then the work center mechanic will be referenced in the document, and also the planner group will be referenced. So based on this key or these codes, you can run a report, a dedicated report to your own unit. So if a mechanic, I'm a mechanic, and I need to see all jobs, all maintenance orders or notifications that are generated in the system for mechanic, then I can use the code, the work center code for mechanic, and based on it, run this report, and it will give me only what is for mechanic. Likewise, electric, dozer, and robot. So also I can also run this report based on planner group level. So I say, okay, I'm a planner for mechanical activity. So I can use 10 and run the report for all activities for that are related to mechanic. So that's the reason why we define this. So there is a special, or there's a very detailed configuration that we're going to learn later, or how to set up this structure so that it can work for the company. And before you can set up this structure, you need to study the company, how they are sited, how those different plants, how their operation is, how their organization generally is, and you now map it in the system. So, but for now, just to understand this concept, and I believe I've explained this concept very well for you to understand what it means. So, sequence for defining organizational levels. So, you need to go and analyze the existing enterprise. You need to go and analyze it. This company, how are they arranged? How are they organized? Okay, they have one plant here. This plant is a maintenance plant. Here they have a head office. Here they have. So you need to document all those things and form a blueprint. Then you define. You now go into the system and start defining which one is a maintenance plant, which one is a planning plant, which one is a work center. You define all these things. Also, you code them, unique codes, okay, with meanings in your blueprint, so you can reference it and say, okay, anytime I'm talking about mechanic planners, I'm referring to 10. Anytime I'm talking about head office, I'm referring to plant 500, and so on. So you have that documented in the course of your analyze stage, and then you now define it as well, so you can reference it. Then you now assign. So these are the three procedure you need to follow in defining the organizational level. So here in assigning, you now start mapping it. This one linked to this one. This planner group leads to this planning plant. This plant leads to this um, um, work center, and so on. So you need to map them properly in the system before they can work together. And that's why if, for example, if you don't link a particular planner group to a particular plant, and you attempt to use it for a document meant for the plant you didn't link it to, system will complain that this planner group does not exist in this plant. So that assignment is where you now assign them together at the back end, so that when you are using them at the front end, the system does not complain anything. Okay. So step one, plant maintenance is very often only implemented after other components such as financial accounting, controlling, or material management have been implemented. So that's a prerequisite for plant maintenance. Even if you are on a project somewhere, before you can start building your plant maintenance structure and configuring, defining, and assigning, these models must have been implemented. The financial accounting and controlling must have been implemented already. So the finance guys will come lay their structure. The guys will come lay their structure. Then the PM guys can now come and lay their structure. So this means that the company structure is, for the most part, predefined in the system. Now, the existing structure must be analyzed from the plant maintenance perspective and extended to include the maintenance specific parts. Step two, after an in-depth analysis of the organizational units relevant for plant maintenance, after an in-depth analysis, the organizational unit relevant for plant maintenance are defined in the system. So that's that analyze that we're talking about. Then maintenance plant. This usually already exists as logistical plants. So you'll be seeing them physically. You know that, okay, this one has equipment. It must be a maintenance plant. And then maintenance planning plants, okay, where the planning will take place. Planning plants for short are defined in the company structure. Then three, there is where the maintenance planner groups are assigned to the planning plant, and maintenance work center are assigned to the. And so there's a lot of assignment at the back end that makes your structure to work together. So that assignment is deliberate. If you don't want a particular planner or planner group to function in a particular plan, then you don't assign it to that plan, so that you can control how users at the front end will utilize this data. So anytime they utilize something that is not meant for that particular plan, then system returns an error. So you as a consultant, you need to know this, so that if users are calling you for errors, you will know that, okay, it's because this assignment was not done, and it is not necessary to utilize that data for that particular transaction the user is trying to carry out. So this is the structure. This is the structure we are talking about. Okay, so general organizational units in logistics, you see there's a client, which is here at the top. You have company code. That is where material management is already set up. and also finance is already set up, you will now see company code. Under the company codes, you now hang or place your maintenance plans. Okay, so we also have okay, sorry. Company codes, you have the logistics plans, which is coming from the material management. Then you can now situate your maintenance plant. So under maintenance plant, you have a location, you have maintenance work centers. Okay. Then you also have maintenance planning plant, which is also like this one, but this is for the purpose of planning. Then you under it, you can now have maintenance planners that are linked to it. So at the end of the day, you have an organizational structure that will be working for you. So organizational levels are structured as follows. The client is the highest level element of an organizational unit. I think we did this before. So let's move to maintenance planning plant. A maintenance planning plan is the organizational unit in which maintenance requirements are planned. This requirement can either come from your own plant or from another maintenance plant assigned to this maintenance planning plan. So you can have a planning plan separate, or it can be the maintenance plan itself can be a planning plant. So maintenance plan equals to planning plant. So that once you define that at the back end, then it can work. So the planners within maintenance planning plan are defined by maintenance planner group. So those planners in every maintenance organization, or in any organization where maintenance is being carried out, you must have maintenance planners. So they are assigned to the maintenance planning plant. So we can have this is the different configuration that are possible. So here we have plant 1200, which is a maintenance plant. You can see there's maintenance requirement here on this asset. There's another plant here, plant 1300. There's also maintenance requirement here. There's another plant, plant 1000, which also there's maintenance requirement. So you notice that this plant is strictly a maintenance plant, nothing more, right? But this plant is both a maintenance plant and it has some workshops attached to it. That is, these are work centers. It has work centers assigned to it. In this very plant now, you have the maintenance will take place here, and it doubles as what? A planning plant. So there's maintenance. This plant 1000 doubles as a maintenance plan and as a maintenance planning plant. And you also have what? Workshop. So these three things are happening in this plant. You have those people who are carrying out maintenance are here. And in fact, it also has a warehouse. So this plant this plant is both a maintenance plant, it is a planning plant, it has workshop, that is work centers, and then it also have a storage, a small place for storing materials. So this is a very big plant that has so many activities going on. Whereas this has just maintenance requirement. Probably there's one turbine there and there's nothing else that is there. So all the workshops will now move from another plant to go and work there. However, this one has maintenance requirement and there's a workshop there. So the planners will be sitting somewhere else in another plant and planning activities there. So this is explaining the concept of plant specific planning. That is the situation where maintenance plant is equals to planning plant. So the same maintenance plan can also serve as a planning plan. So in most organizational structures, maintenance measures are planned in the same plant where the maintenance requirement occur. So the maintenance orders are executed by a workshop from the same plant, and the spare parts are stored in the same plant. So this plant specific, but cross-plant planning, multiple maintenance plans are assigned to a planning plant. Okay. So there's a maintenance plant, and then other plants are planning plant, which are assigned to the maintenance plant. So in one plant, for example, plant 1200, which was this plant, 1200. Here, it's definitely a cross plant planning. There is a need for maintenance as a technical system. There requires maintenance. So it means it is a maintenance plan. So all further functions like planning, other execution by the workshop, spare parts are, however, the responsibility of another plant. So you can see that for this very plant, spare part withdrawal must come from here to this place. Planning must be done here for this plant. And if you need workshops or work centers, you need to draw them from here to go and work in that plant. So this is a cross plant kind of arrangement. So it's a way, these are two ways you can set up your structure. So it depends on what the company wants. If the company wants the planners to still be on the maintenance plant and be planning the activities there, then you configure it that way. If the client wants the one plant to be storage plant, planning plant, and maintenance plant, you configure it that way. So those assignments will be dependent on what the client wants. Okay. So maintenance work centers. Maintenance work centers. For example, we have example of work centers. Like I explained before, work centers are those persons or machines that are responsible for carrying out maintenance. Sorry, let me let someone in. Chicken, it's like your network is not it's like your network is not stable. Okay, so work centers are responsible for carrying out maintenance. So the transaction code for work center, let's all follow this process. So go to your SAP. Let's try to display work centers that are available here. So log in, everybody. Okay, so once you log in, uh, if you want to use a transaction code, you can type here directly. 90% of SAP transactions, the activities in these transactions are always create, change, display. Create, change, display, and also list. List is like a report, or you can call it a report. Anyhow, so and most times rate is always 0, 1. Change, this is just a trick, is 0, 2, and display most times is 0, 3. Yeah, reports can be something else. So at least this will help you remember these transaction codes easily. The frequently used transaction code. So if you are carrying out activities in SAP, you are either creating something or you are changing what you have created, or you just want to display it in a display mode. So in such a way that you don't have to change anything. Then also a report. So most times create is 0, 1, change 0, 2, and display is 0, 3. So you can see here we have transaction codes for managing um, work centers. So create is IR01, change IR02, display IR03. Then if you don't want to memorize transaction codes, then you can always follow the path, the menu here. This menu here has all the transaction codes. So let's go to logistics. So all your activities will be centered around this plant maintenance because this is what we are doing. So um, then plant maintenance. Yeah. Okay. Then plant maintenance. Then you go to maintenance processing. Then you see environment. Then you see work centers. Then work center, and you see the transaction codes there. IR01, IR02, IR03. If you want to move it to your favorite, uh, you can create, right click on the favorite. First of all, insert a whole. I hope we are all doing this. Hello, am I talking to myself? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Are we
I'm doing it.
okay? All right, great. So I will just assume that anything I say you should do, you are all doing it, right? So that should be the standard here. So um, so if you right click on this favorite menu, you can insert a folder. We did this in our first class. Then you are able to give it a name. So let's call it work center, work centers. And then once you accept, you will have a new folder here called work center. So you can move these transactions, drag it and drop it on the work center. Click the second one, drag it, drop it on the work center. Click the third one, drag it and drop on the work center. So let's go with these three: create, change, and display. Or if you can memorize it, you can as well type it here, IR01. So I want us to display a particular work center. So let's use the display transaction. So in trying to display this work center, you see that system is asking you plant, because a work center is created particularly for a plant. So all the plants that we discussed there, all of them will have work centers. So if that work center is not defined for that plant, there's nothing. So the default plant that we are going to be using a lot in this class is plant 1000. So let's click here, click in here. Let's search. There is a small button by the side here. Click on search. Then you'll see that this your plant field will be automatically filled with plant 1000 because you already defined it there. Then click on this start search at the bottom here. So you see a long list of work centers will be showing here. So you can just select, let's select a particular one together so that all of us will be on the same page. So scroll down until you see this mechanic. Mechanic with MECANIK is the German spelling for mechanic. Ensure is that one. This work center here. Scroll towards the end of this list. You will see mechanic. Double click on it. So once you double click, it means that this mechanic was created for plan 1000. So press enter and you will see your work center data. So work center is a kind of master data. All the information related to this work center, you'll find them in these tabs. So here you will see the work center category. It is created for plant maintenance. Person responsible, meaning the supervisor or the manager of this team. You can also look at work center as a team, a maintenance team. Like all the people, the mechanical guys are under this team, or this team work center mechanic. So the manager or the supervisor of this team is the person responsible. The location is there. The usage is only for maintenance task. So you will see different kinds of information about this work center, control key, and so on. So all these are just tailored to this particular work center. Capacity, you will see the work dimension is in time, the work unit is in hour, such that when this particular any personnel from this work center is working, their the cost is calculated per hour. Look at the cost center assigned to this work center, the controlling area. All this will discuss them in detail. So for now, just to play around, just to navigate, move around. If you see that error message, just press enter and it will go. So just move around it and see. So this simply contains data about that team, all the information about the team mechanical maintenance. So this is a work center and the code for it is this mechanic. It can be anything. You can define anything to represent your work center. So let's go out again. So if you want to create a brand new work center, you can use transaction IR01. Okay, so let's see how that can be possible. Double click on IR01 either from your favorite or from your from the menu, or you can also type it here directly. So double click. So if you want to create a new work center, the prerequisite here is you must specify the plant you are creating the work center for. So let's also enter plant 1000. So the work center code that we're going to enter is what? Test. Let's call it test 1. Test 0001. So that's our work center code, test. It can be any name. It can be mechanic, it can be electric, it can be instrument, it can be plumbers, it can be anything. But just know that it represents the team that will be responsible for that kind of task. Then enter your work center category. Select here, the work center category should be maybe labor or plant maintenance. Let's use plant maintenance. So press enter. So here you are going to give the title of this work center. So you can call it the name that suits the work center. Let's also call it test work center. Okay, so person responsible, let's select from the drop down. Just pick anybody there. Location, pick anything, maybe number 1, production area. But normally in a normal system, all this information would have been created and you can select from there. So any information that is not so useful to us now, we can jump it. Usage. So this work center, we want it to be used for only maintenance task. So select only maintenance task list. Then let's move to the next default values. Control key is a mandatory field. So let's select a particular control key. So this control key is what defines whether these jobs are done, whether this work center is an internal work center or an external work center. So if it is an internal work center, system does not need to generate a PR, a purchase requisition, so you can create a purchase order and invite a vendor to come and do the job. But if it's an external work center, you can, depending on the control key you specify. I'm looking for the most suitable one. Okay, this is external, so this is internal. So select this PM01 for internal. Okay, so we have internal, we have external. PM02 is external. If you select PM02, anytime you use this work center, system will generate a purchase requisition because this external control key is defined to behave that way. So for now, select PM01. Then let's go to capacity. Select again labor. Capacity category is labor. Then go to scheduling. Select again labor in scheduling. Then let's go to costing. Another mandatory field here. When you see a field with this tick inside, it means that you must fill it. It's a mandatory field. So let's enter cost center of 40,000. Just enter 40,000 as cost center and save. So if you save, test work center is created. If you're having issues, let me know. So if you have saved successfully, then bravo. So now you have created your work center test 001. So it means any other time you want to display your work center, you will see that test 001 in the list. So let's search now. So in this list, you definitely see that you have created one work center called test 00. So I found mine here. So these users will now see from their end this work center is available for them to use in plant 1000. So when they are creating a work order or a notification, they can quote this work center to mean that these guys responsible for this job are the ones to handle that particular work order. We'll talk about work order much later in detail. So double click on it and display it again. So you can see that your work center is now live. All right. So let's go out. So we have just created a work center. So if you need to change anything in that work center, you can double click on the change transaction, which is IR02. Then search for the work center. If it's already there, press enter. Then maybe you might wish to change something in one of these tabs. I don't know what we want to change. Or maybe we want to update the work unit. Let's update R as a work unit. What again? Sorry, let me let someone in. There's no one here. Okay, so that's how to manage a work center. So as time goes on, you will know better the use of this work center while we are creating it, and we might even need to create more. Okay, so a work center is an organizational unit where work can be carried out. Example for work center, we have machine, group of machines, a person, group of persons. So what we have just created there, test work center, can represent a machine. You can even call it a robot, you can call it a dozer, caterpillar, or you can call it a electrician, mechanics, a plumber. So that will be the work center responsible for that kind of job. So in plant maintenance, work centers are used as responsible work center in the master record of equipment and functional location. A responsible work center in maintenance item. A responsible work center in the header of a task list. Okay, so all these things here, these are documents or these are master data that you can tie a work center for. So let me display this first one so that you have an idea of what this is talking about. Responsible work center in the master record of equipment and functional location. So there's something called equipment master record. Also, there's something called functional location master record. So just permit me to display quickly and show you IE02, for example. So let me just select this equipment I created before. So this is an equipment master record. We're going to look at this in detail in our next class when we're discussing technical objects. We'll create equipment, we'll create equipment, we'll also create functional locations. 1 second, let me send this link to someone. Okay. So we'll create, but for now, I just want to show you that under this organization tab, you have what? Main work center. So it means that this fire water pump, the main work center assigned to it is press. So you can equally change this to our work center. So for users, when they come here, because you created our work center test 001, if you search here, you are able to see it. You're able to see test 01. So I can assign test 001 to this fire water pump. So what I'm doing here is I'm automatically saying that anytime this fire water pump has an issue, the main people responsible for the activity or the maintenance task is test work center. It can be mechanic, it can be electric. Let's assume a turbine. Definitely, you know that electricians are responsible for it. Okay, so or when you see when you have assets like valves, definitely is maybe instruments or mechanic that are responsible for it. So depending on the kind of equipment, you assign the responsible work center. So you can see that in the master data of this equipment, fire water pump, there is a work center tied to it. So once you create any report, any notification about a damage or a problem on this fire water pump, automatically the work center test 001 will be copied into the document you are creating. So we'll get there. But for now, just to drive home this point, responsible work center is used in the master record of equipment and functional location. I just displayed the master record of equipment. Okay, even the master record of functional location, you also have a responsible work center tied there. Now, it is also responsible work center in the maintenance item. So there's another document called maintenance item where you can also tie your work center. We'll look at this in future. Responsible work center in the header of a task list. There's another master data called task list. You can also find the work center there. So executing work center in the operation of a task list. You can also find work center there. Responsible employee in the order header. So in your work order, you will find also a work center. Executing work center in the operation of an order. In the operation of a work order, you can also find a work center. So work center belongs to the master data and provide capacity required to perform the task. So that's it. So the contents of a work center, what we navigated through when we displayed our work center, we saw this content: general data, capacity data. We saw cost center, works person qualification. All these things are inside the work center master data. So when we displayed our work center, this is it. This is what we're talking about. We have basic data, we have work center category, person responsible. You will see control key, capacity, scheduling data, and so on. So these are the information we are talking about here. So what is the function of work center generally? So for costing, so you can use costing to determine the cost of an internal activity by a product unit. Its goal is to assign to the various cost objects the costs that were incurred by them. If the work center is used in an operation, the link to the cost center provides activity type for evaluating the operation. So this is our work center, and in this work center, under the costing, we have what is called the cost center. So if one guy from this work center carries out activity, maybe on that fire water pump, and you define that your work center, 1 hour of work from this work from any member of this team is $1,000. So once you assign one guy from this work center to carry out activity on a particular job, or maybe, for example, the fire water pump, and he spends 2 hours, it translates to what? $2,000, and that will be posted to this cost center. And this is the integration point between plant maintenance and financial accounting. So this cost center is a finance object, but every activity or every department has the code which collects their cost. So for maintenance activities, all will be posted in this cost center, 40,000. So if the guy spent 2 hours, it means he has incurred the cost of $2,000 for the unit, and that cost will be posted to what? Cost center, 40,000. So finance can run a report on an annual basis to see how much you are utilizing the capacity of this work center. That's why we're talking about costing. So this helps to, track the cost, or the cost per capacity from that work center. Now, scheduling. You can use scheduling to determine the dates when operations should be performed. For this, the time required for the operation must be calculated and compared with the time available in the work center. So the standard values and quantities in the operations are used as basis for this calculation. So during scheduling, the start end date and end date for the operations are calculated from this data using formulas which have been entered for scheduling in the work center. So if you provide necessary information in your work center, system is able to tell you uh, to give you an oversight of the time available for any other activity to utilize someone from this work center. So you just need to go somewhere and click, and system will tell you that, okay, for this work center, we have a guy that can work 2 hours based on what system will calculate. We have a guy available for 2 hours. So if a job is more than 2 hours, you cannot utilize the guy. Then capacity planning. You are able to know how many guys are in this work center. Maybe there are 5 guys assigned to this work center and 2 are already on a job. You are able to know that 2 are already engaged, 3 are available. So in capacity planning, the capacity requirement for the operations in the work order are determined and compared with the available capacity defined in the work center. So during capacity planning, you can use work center hierarchies to aggregate a higher level work centers, the available capacity and capacity requirement of a lower level work. So in summary, is every work center has a capacity. The capacity in the work center is defined in the work center. If it is 5, at every time you know who is engaged, how many guys are engaged, and how many guys are not engaged. Okay, haven't discussed the organizational levels in plant maintenance in detail. Let's move to what is called the life cycle of a technical object. So, when we talk about a technical object, we're referring to an asset in an organization. It can be maybe a turbine, an emergency generator, it can be a fire water pump, it can be any object, it can be any equipment, any technical object in the organization. So, first, as a company, you make investment planning. You want to buy it, right? So when you buy it, you need to install it. So you can do second project definition, the entire project around installing it. Then you now decide which vendor are you buying this from, which OEM are you buying this thing from. Then once you buy, you now start to install it, or you know uh, carry out the project of installation of that asset. Then once you install it, We now start thinking about maintenance of that asset. Okay. Then during maintenance, sometimes you will need to buy external services, or you need to procure external services for maintenance, or you need to procure external materials for maintenance. Then there are times too you need to shut down this asset for complete overhaul, um, so that you can replace some major parts on this asset. Then in all of this, you can also be tracking the asset performance. Okay, how is the performance so far of this asset? Is it giving us the value optimally? And so this is the what? The life cycle of a technical object. Every technical object installed in a maintenance plant goes through all these phases. So basically, these are the explanation and the details you find out in uh, each level. In this case, investment planning. These are the things you can find during investment planning. Project definition. These are the things you can find. Our our main concern as maintenance people is not in all of this. Our concern is in what? The maintenance, the plant maintenance phase. That is where we come in. So once you do your project and you install that asset, maybe by the project team in the organization, maintenance guys now come in. So when they come in, what do? That's why we're not bothered about it. This doesn't concern us. All these procurement activities will go to material management people and so on. Shut down project. So this is where we come in. And when we come in as maintenance guys, what do? We look at the assets, we structure technical assets and making the required information available. So we're going to structure it in the system the way it is on ground. So don't just look at the technical asset as maybe like a turbine, a single equipment like a turbine. It can be an entire uh, facility that has multiple technical equipments there. Just look at maybe an oil and gas sector where you have um, a platform, either an onshore platform or an offshore platform with a lot of different kinds of equipment for oil exploration, production, and storage. So that entire field that is responsible for these activities also is a technical asset in itself. So it is just a technical asset that has other technical assets, a lot of other technical assets under it. Sorry, let me let this guy in. Okay, so it is that kind of installation or that kind of platform or that kind of plant where you have different other technical objects under it is also a technical asset. So you have to, during structuring, you have to look at it. So, okay, we have, for example, let me take for example, I will give a scenario of a refinery. You have a plant, a refinery plant. Um, so here you have different equipments like XYZ. You have also ABC. You have YHN. These are different kinds of equipment you have in this refinery. So you as a maintenance person and a plant maintenance consultant, when you come to this asset or this facility, you will look at how this whole asset is structured physically on ground. And you're going to transfer what is on ground into the system. So the way it is structured hierarchically, okay, when you go to the refinery itself, you will see that we have one equipment here, and then we have another one here. Then under this equipment, you even have another smaller equipment here. and there. Okay, then under this one too, you have, so under this one you can even have another smaller equipment under it. So the way it is structured physically, hierarchically, is exactly what you would do in the system, so that users don't necessarily need to go on site physically to be able to understand the flow of the technical assets on ground. So again, what we do is planning maintenance tasks and assigning resources. So, okay, there's a maintenance activity that comes up. You will have to plan, what do you need? Do you need spare part? What kind of spare part do you need? What kind of people? How many people do you need for the job? How many hours will it take them to do the job? Um, and so on. So all this kind of planning is what you do in plant maintenance. Then you record task performed and cost incurred. So there's a report at the end of the day, at the end of the task, you keep a recording of the task that you have carried out. Maybe you change a particular valve, that will be recorded as a task carried out in that facility, and the cost of changing this valve will also be documented. So if in 1 year you have done series of tasks, all those tasks will be documented, which is what is called maintenance history. So if you have done maintenance on, for example, we're using example fire water pump uh, 10 times, then if you query fire water pump, you see the maintenance history will show that you have intervened on this fire water pump 10 times. The cost, the respective cost for the different times you have intervened on this fire water pump will also be documented in the system. Then ensuring a secure work environment. So all these are geared towards ensuring that your work environment is safe, your asset is working optimally, everything is working fine. So this is where we are focusing as plant maintenance people. I don't know why. I don't know. Is someone, Joshua? You have to mute, please. All right, thanks. So let's move on. So maintenance strategies. Maintenance strategies. So we are coming closer and closer to our activities. Okay. I haven't listed all those phases of a technical object, or in the life cycle of a technical object. We are going closer to where our focus is, which is maintenance. So when you want to carry out maintenance, you now strategize what kind of maintenance, what maintenance strategy are you going to employ in that particular facility. So we have different kinds of maintenance strategies that you can employ. You have RCM, reliability centered maintenance. You have total productive maintenance, and you have risk based maintenance. So depending on the size of the company, or the targets of the company, or the nature of the company, if it's an oil and gas, if it is a cement production, if it's a palm oil production, you would decide the kind of maintenance to be carried out on that facility, whether reliability centered or risk, or some companies will even combine the advantage of the three. So let's let's see what these maintenance strategies means. So the reason why we're explaining all of this is so that if you are, it happens to be in an interview and these questions are asked, you are able to respond to them. And also for your exams, you could come across this kind of questions. So reliability centered maintenance, RCM, is an optimization method of maintenance strategy aimed at reducing maintenance cost and improving asset availability. So here, generally in this kind of maintenance is for organizations that are not so financially buoyant. So the target here is to reduce costs. Anything that has to do with any kind of maintenance activity that will incur a lot of cost, they try to um, avoid it. So they just go to maintenance activities that are uh, uh, incur just little cost. So the target here is to save cost. So they are not ready to spend money so much in this kind of strategy. So damage options, production losses, and asset costs are systematically evaluated. So RCM can also be linked to risk analysis and thus be used for security critical and environmental critical systems. So a lot of analysis upon analysis is done just to tailor down to the problem. So we're not ready to waste money here, right? In reliability centered maintenance, we're not ready to waste money. We're not ready to spend so much money. So you can analyze just to get to the root cost. So here there's no room for trial and error. You spend $1,000, you didn't solve the problem. You spend $2,000, you didn't solve the problem. No, you have to first analyze and know that, okay, what is causing this problem is this particular seal, and if we change it, not going to start doing something else and then down till you end up uh, finally getting the solution after you have spent so much money. So here the law of reliability activities, which is statistics and data analysis to be able to come up with the actual problem that you need to attack. And in this case, when you are attacking the problem directly, you reduce cost and everybody is happy. So risk-based inspection is an optimization method that optimizes the maintenance effort on the basis of risk. So this reduces not just the maintenance effort, but also minimizing the risk associated with operating the asset, such as the risk of interrupting production. So this helps to identify risk drivers that is a component that significantly contribute to the overall. So here, RBI is targets those risky areas only. So if a situation or if a maintenance need is not does not translate to a huge risk, then in RBI we don't care so much. It is only something that will cause great risk to the organization that we target. So many activities are overlooked until that activity that has a lot of risk consequences. So here too, uh, in the long run, you save cost because you don't just spend money on, maintaining anything until that thing has some risky consequences. Total productive maintenance (TPM) is a concept by which maintenance tasks can be largely planned and performed by machine operators. So here it's very expensive because is in fact it's very efficient and very expensive. So it is for companies that are very, very grounded, okay? Because here you could also deploy the use of robots, you could deploy the use of softwares and very sensitive equipment to carry out maintenance activities. So this is very expensive, and so depending on the nature of the company, the type of company, their capacity, you can choose one of these maintenance strategies. So for now, just understand what they mean and we'll move on. So benefit of SAP based plant maintenance. What this means is when you are using SAP, what benefit do you derive in an organization by using SAP for maintenance? So SAP EAM, Enterprise Asset Management. So the SAP plant maintenance model can also be called Enterprise Asset Management. So SAP Enterprise Asset Management helps your entire company leverage the following benefits. Increase asset availability. So because when there's a problem, system is telling you that, okay, time is due for maintenance of a particular asset or a particular equipment or a particular object. There is no downtime at all because SAP is always up to date, telling you that time has reached to carry out maintenance on this asset, because you would have set in the system properly, and system will generate work orders at those due dates and you carry out your maintenance. So because this is happening, there is equipment availability. All the times your equipments are available and they are working optimally. Secondly, transparency of incurred costs. So once you carry out maintenance, before you carry out maintenance, there must be a work order created. And I was telling you about capacity utilization. If once you utilize a capacity from a work center, that is cost. That cost is transferred into the cost center, into the work order as well. If you if your maintenance activity require material, once you pick the material and you assign it to the work order for the maintenance, the cost of that material is transferred into the work order. At the end of the day, work order being a cost collecting element will aggregate the cost, the total cost of that maintenance inside the work order, and it remains there. So management is able to run reports and see that how much they are spending on maintenance. You can even drill down to by different equipment. So for this fire water pump, for this generator, for this turbine, this is how much we are spending. So in a year, you can know which equipment you are spending more money on maintenance easily, just with one click or two clicks at most. Documentation of task. So here, all your maintenance activities are documented properly. You can be able to tell what kind of activities are carried out on a particular equipment anytime you want. Because once you carry out the maintenance activity, they are documented in a work order. Comprehensive planning and monitoring. So here you are able to plan your job because you have data available, you have the system available, you can know what is available, what is not available, manpower that is available and the one not available, and so on. So it helps you make good planning decisions. Now, technical history, it also boils down to maintenance history. So you're able to keep properly this maintenance technical history for any future use. Processes in SAP Enterprise Asset Management. So here, plant maintenance and preventive maintenance tasks are carried out in a variety of business areas and sometimes present complex challenges to planners and maintenance technicians whose activity needs to be mapped in the software system. So the processes can be categorized as follows. So run-up processes. Here you define the organizational structure. You define the asset structure. So you come into an organization that you want to implement your SAP plan maintenance study. Then you define the structure. We're going to be doing this in our next class. You define the asset structure. Now, core processes involve troubleshooting. You set up your preventive maintenance, execution of scheduled tasks. Then support processes, controlling, that's costing and settlement, investment and budget planning, project planning for major tasks, capacity planning for workshops, material planning and procurement, refurbishment of spare parts, pool assets management. All these are under support processes. So since different companies have different requirements, it helps to examine the above processes in more detail and differentiate them according to specific criteria. So differentiation criteria is based on the scope of the asset, capital intensive or not capital intensive. So for you to be able to carry out these steps or to decide which one, it is based on what? This differentiation criteria. Scope of the assets, whether it's capital intensive or not, type and scope of the task, whether it's a single task or work package or major task, then also the size of the company or the sector, is it oil and gas, is it manufacturing, and execution medium, whether through SAP, GUI, Portal, Mobile, or any other ERP. So this is what are the differentiation criteria. Okay, let's also understand the concept of rules, right? Roles basically represent authorization. So in SAP generally, and in fact, role creation and role assignment to users, because roles are assigned to users. So role creation and role assignment is a work of basis consultants. They're the ones that create roles. So they create a role matrix and assign to users depending on their activities in the system. So if For example, in our maintenance department, we have a maintenance manager. Then we have a supervisor. Then we have technician. Then we have what? Yeah, basically. So the kind of authorization that the manager will have will be different from supervisor and technician. The manager may have a role or an authorization to approve maintenance documents, approve orders or work orders, while the supervisor may not be able to approve. A supervisor may have the role to prepare or plan activities, while a technician will have activities to will have the authorization to complete activities. So what makes these individuals different in the system is because of the rules. So if a particular role is not assigned to your user, then you cannot carry out certain functions. The reason why in this demo system you are able to use any transaction code at all is because you have the rule called SAP all, because you are the administrator. You are the administrator. Your user is the administrator of your system. So you have all the rules assigned to you. But if you create a new user and you assign just some kinds of authorization to that user is limited to those activities you want the user to carry out. So if you don't want the user to be able to create work center, when you click on transaction, create work center, system will say you are not authorized to use this transaction. So you can bundle different kinds of authorization in a row and give it to a user. So you say, okay, this user is a technician. I want him to be able to raise notification. I want him to be able to raise work order. I want him to be able to prepare work order, but I don't want him to be able to approve the work order. So all those pieces of authorization, you gather them in one row and give to the user. So if there are other similar users that should have this kind of authorization, you can also give them similar roles. So that is, so whatever activities you are able to carry out in SAP system is because you have the role. So let me see SU01. So SU01 is a transaction code for user maintenance. This is not a plant maintenance transaction, right? It is a systems transaction. It is for basis guys, right? But not a problem if you know how to create a user, so in this your system, if you want to create a user, you can use a new user, you can use SU01. So you can give the user a name. Let's call this user Peter. Then you click on the create button here. Are you with me? So this is just by the way, just to bring home the point, the concept rules. So here, this is the user master data now. So you are going to fill this information, Mr. Peter John, Mr. Peter John, academic title if he has, language English, that's the language. If he has a telephone number, you can provide it there, email address, you can provide it there. So logon details. So you can set the default login, how do you call it, password for him. So I will just type 12345 and I will repeat 12345. It means that when you are sharing this login details to the user, at first login, the user needs to change the password. Okay, so this is a default password. Okay, so default here you are able to manage a few things. Is default login language, you can make it English, EN. Then default decimal notation, you can select any suitable one. Then default date format and time format, so all these parameters if you want. Then here is where you define rows. So there are a lot of rows in this system. If I click here to search my row, I don't know if we'll see SAP all. We have these are rows that are existing in this system. Okay, and these rows have authorizations tied to it, and these rows are created by basis guys. So if you select, if a particular row is for doing a particular activity, once you assign that row to the user is limited to that activity. So I'm not going to assign any row to this user. Profiles, nothing. So I will just save this user. The username is Peter and the password is 123456. So I didn't assign any row to Peter, right? So I'm going to log out as Paul because I logged in as Paul. I'll try to log in as Peter now because this is a new user. So my new user is Peter and my default password is 123456. So you can see that because Peter is logging in for the first time, system is asking Peter to what? Enter his own password, because you as an administrator who have created this user, you shouldn't know Peter's login details. So Peter will now change his password to maybe 654321, and he will repeat 654321. Then Peter will now log in. So Peter is logging in for the first time. This is Peter logging in. So if you want to check the user that is logged in now, you can see that the user is Peter, no longer Paul. Okay. Now, because Peter does not have any authorization, let's see if Peter can create. If Peter can create a work center, do you see what has happened? You are not authorized to use transaction IR0. So even if I go down here, plan maintenance, maintenance processing, environment, work centers. So any transaction code Peter touch, system will complain. You are not authorized. Nothing. Peter cannot just do anything. So Peter has access to SAP system, but Peter cannot do anything. Peter cannot display equipment, IE01, or sorry, 02. Peter cannot. So Peter does not have any role. So you can now, the job of basis guys is now to sit down and study Peter's activity in the company. What does Peter do? So, or what does the organization want Peter to do? The organization want Peter to create a work order or create a notification or create this just by the way, as a matter of fact, but just to enlighten you more about the power of role, since we have it in our course content. So the basis guy will now create one role. Let me see if I can still remember EFCG. Okay. Peter cannot create a role as well because Peter doesn't. So for me to create a role and assign to Peter, I need to log in as Paul, my normal user, where I'm an administrator, where I have all the roles to myself. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now if I launch the transaction PFCG, I should be able to run this transaction. So I want to create a role called create underscore or maybe notification. That's the role name, and I will just click on create. So here I'll call it create notification role. So don't why I'm not curious about you following me to do this is because it's not really within your purview, but I just need you to understand this, because as a consultant, sometimes users could bring up certain issues I'm not authorized to do this, I'm not authorized to do this, and they are sending that to you, you will know that, okay, this is authorization issue and should go to the business guys. Okay, so here, let's see in the menu. Okay, let's save this row first. Row is saved now. So in the menu, you can add a transaction. The transaction you want Peter to access, I want him to access IW24 and IW26. These are the transaction codes I want Peter to assign to be able to. So I'm going to give him full authorization to these transaction codes. So here I will just give full authorization and save. All right, so and I will generate this, generate everything, and then I will save that. So let's see. So here, feed name, blah 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 blah. Okay, let's go to plant maintenance. I just want to generate everything at once. Activate. Oh, no. Okay, so here I want him to have access to all the work order types if he wants. I want him to have access to what do you call it? All the planner groups, full authorization to everything, as long as um, plant maintenance is concerned. So let's see if at this level he's able to create something with those two transaction codes I've given to him. There's still a lot to maintain here. All these ones in yellow, um, we need to maintain them to turn them to green. Okay, so I will save this and then I will go back, generate. Okay, so now you can see that all the ones I've maintained are turning green. So the next level is this user. I need to now assign the user Peter to this row. Okay, then I will save. I will do user comparison, complete, and it will turn green as well. Then I will save this row. So it means I've given Peter this authorization. So let's log out and log in as Peter this time around. See if Peter can use those two transaction codes now. So this is Peter, and Peter new password 6543. So here, so you can see that the transaction codes are already displayed here because I set them to appear as default. And now you can see Peter is able to um, launch this transaction code, even though because I didn't go so deep in the remaining authorization, but at least Peter is able to launch this transaction code now. IW24, which I gave him, and IW26, which I gave. So if I want him to be able to go further, I will also allow him to be able to launch this notification type M1. So depending on the level of transaction authorization I give Peter, he will be able to work in the system. So that is the essence of rules, rule assignment to users in SAP system. So if I display um, um, Peter master data, user master data with SU01 now, and I enter Peter here, and I click on this button to change, or I can click here to display, and I go to rows, I will see that there's one rule assigned to Peter called create underscore notification. So if there's another rule, I'll continue to assign those rules to Peter, and Peter will be rich in authorization. So that's the concept of rule. So any user of SAP system has a particular function in his company. So in the maintenance area, a user might be the maintenance director, maintenance technician, or maintenance supervisor. This function in the company are represented in SAP system as roles. So roles offer the possibility of providing respective user with a customized application menu that includes precisely the transaction. Like you see what I did, I gave him just two transactions that are showing on his screen. Okay, so this is just pictorial demonstration. This planner, he plans tasks, coordinates team, achieve balance utilization. So you give him role that will allow him to do this. The supervisor checks schedule work, distribute work, check work, carry out work. Technician prepare work, execute work, report observation. So all of them will have authorizations that will help them achieve all of it. Now there's something called SOD, segregation of duty. This is done during role assignment, such that one person should not be able to start a transaction, process the transaction, approve the transaction, and complete the transaction. So you segregate the duty, you segregate the activities amongst different users. And this helps to check fraud in the system, such that if one user has all these authorizations, he can start a transaction and end it, and he can do anything he wants in the system. But when you segregate it, before a transaction is completed, you need different actors in that line of activity before that transaction is completed. Okay, so you segregate those activities. You can see that this guy can only do this one can do. So once this guy finished doing his task, he moves to this guy, the guy does his own task, and then he moves to this guy, he also does his own task. So when that is done, we call it SOD, segregation of duty. It's very important. Okay, just like Nosa, you are conversant with material management. The person who is creating PR is not necessarily the person who is creating a purchase order. It's not necessarily the person who is posting goods receipts. It's not necessarily the person who is posting invoices. Okay, so you have to separate that amongst different people, because if I have the right to do all of this, I can actually issue a contract to my uncle in the system. I will just create a PO, give it to one of my uncle that has a company to supply materials. I will also create invoice. And of course, when invoices are created, automatic payment run will pay this guy. So we need different people who are, in charge of these activities. So likewise in maintenance, we separate these activities. So this takes us to what? Exercise. Our exercise 5. Here they ask us to display work center T-ME ## in plant 1000 and determine the following data. So how do you display? Can you guys do this? Display this work center. Who can tell us the transaction code to do that? Transaction code to display work center. We just did that.
Is it IR03?
Yes, that's
Okay.
perfect. IR03. Then to change is what?
IR02.
Exactly. And then to
Okay.
create is what?
IR01.
Yes, I gave you that logic that, okay, create is 01, change is 02, display is 03. So in most SAP transactions, you will have this 1, 2, 3. Even in let's take create PO. Create PO is ME21N. Then change is ME22N. Display ME23N. So this is just how it. So to make it very easy, once you know that it's ME21N, you know that the display will be 23 and the change will be 22. So that's the logic to know how to memorize this transaction code. So the exercise say we should display this work center. So it means, and in this book, in this manual, when you see hash represent a number, a 2-digit number. It can be 01, 02, 10, 20, 30. So depending on any number that comes to your mind, display it with IR03. IR03, everybody. Then they say you should display this work center in plant 1000. So type plant 1000, and then the work center will be T-ME ##. So that ## can be T-ME 001. Some people can do 02. Some people can do 20. Some people can do 10. But at the end of the day, you will have a work center. Like mine is mechanical maintenance. So when you display it, they say you should determine what the person responsible. So who is the person responsible for your own work center? Mine is 1001. It's a German name, but at least it's 101. Can you see the person responsible? This is like the supervisor of the team. Hello, can you see person responsible?
Yes.
Okay. So the next thing they ask us to check task list usage. Can you see task list usage? So you can go through these tabs to find the information they are asking you. Task list usage. For me, I'm seeing usage here 004. Only maintenance task list. Usage is 004. It means that this work center is used for maintenance. The next question is task list type. This exercise is just to help you familiarize yourself with the work center environment. So you keep going around to find information like that. You become familiar with it. So it's not a waste of time.
Mr. Paul,
Yes, sir.
sorry to interrupt. While I was going through the tabs, the basic data, default values, capacity, scheduling, I got to costing and I got stuck at the cost center.
You have
So
an
I
error
tried,
message at the bottom.
no, the cost center. Oh, okay. I didn't
Do you have
fill
an
out.
error message at the bottom?
Yes, error, filling all required entry fields. That's what it's showing me.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I
So
didn't
did you
fill in
fill
the
cost
cost
center?
200. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just I
yeah.
just saw that now.
Okay. So it's a
Okay,
mandatory
yeah.
field, so you need to fill it.
Yeah, because he didn't let me move away from it until I did
No.
it.
So that's the essence of mandatory field. Once you see a mandatory field, I even mentioned that those fields that has a small tick inside, they are
Mhm.
mandatory fields. You must fill them. A system will not let you move.
So the figure for the 300, what does it stand for? Is it like a category or something?
It's a cost center. So
Cost
this is,
center.
I explained this before. I said this is an accounting object,
Oh,
but
okay.
this is where the integration point between plant maintenance and finance. And I will explain this point again very well because it's very important.
Okay.
So the finance guys, uh, they have what some um, cost elements. They have cost elements, right? There is another cost element called GL. This is all. It comes from the chart of account that they have created. So GL accounts are small accounts or small cost elements that collect cost, different costs that are incurred in the organization. For example, you can have a GL account for uh, um, material procurement. You can have a GL account for transport. That is the flight tickets that you are buying for personnel. You can have a GL account for a salary. You can have a GL account for maintenance. You can have a GL account for stationaries. Now, this GL account, anytime such an activity or such monies are spent in an organization, in the document, be it a PO, be it a work order, be it anything, maybe a project document that you generate, you must quote the GL account for that activity so that whatever cost you incur will be posted to that GL account. Now, GL accounts divides this cost at a higher level. Cost center does the same thing, but cost center now brings it down by units. For example, maintenance unit, HR, business development unit, warehouse. So we are spending money on flight tickets, but we want to know. Generally, we have spent 1 million on flight ticket in a year, but we now want to know the different departments, their own contribution to this 1 million, how much they have spent. So in the maintenance department now, which the code is 4300, is able to collect all the costs that are tied to that particular activity, specifically for maintenance department. So, okay, we have spent 1 million on flight ticket. What is the share of maintenance department? You will see it at cost center. What is the share of warehouse guys? You see it at their cost center. So there are different cost center for different units. So that's why you see this cost center is called plant maintenance. So anytime there is a maintenance activity and this work center is assigned to the work order, the cost of that work order is posted to this cost center. So the finance guys will see it. They will know that, okay, maintenance guys have incurred another cost of so amount. That's why it's here. Other than that, it's not doing anything for us, but it has to be here to collect all the costs incurred by this work center. So you need to select it and add it here. You need to give it a particular cost center that is suitable for the team that you're working on. Is it clear?
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you.
So yeah. So what else are we looking for? Task list type. So if you see this error message, just press enter. Let's keep looking around. Okay, I don't know why I can't see that. Operating time and capacity. Let's look for, because of time, let's move to the next one. Look at capacity here. And then these are all the times and their units. Then next is cost center. You have seen cost center under costing already. This is a cost center. So this is just to help you move around activity type, internal processing. Okay, that's I think we saw that under, we saw that here under this control key, internal. So the control key is PM01. So at least this helps you to familiarize yourself with the work center master data. So here is a true or false question. So question one say a maintenance plan can be a maintenance planning plan. So from what we have done before, is this in true or false?
True.
Correct. So a maintenance plan can double as a planning plan. A location, for example, building F-141 can only exist once within the company. Is this true or false? A particular building can only exist once within the company. This is true. A maintenance planner group is assigned to a maintenance planning plan. Is this true?
True.
Yeah. Planner group are those guys, those persons that are responsible for planning activities. So whichever planning plant exists, they are assigned to that planning plant. So a maintenance plant is assigned to a maintenance planning plant. Is this true? Yeah, it's true. When that's a situation where A comes to play. So if you have to set it up such that your maintenance plan is same as maintenance planning plan, so you need to assign the two of them together. So this is a solution for, so this is just giving you the path to getting to display work center. So you go to logistics, plant maintenance, maintenance processing, environment, work center, then display. What we have done before. So yes, if you know the transaction code, you can also launch it. Plant maintenance, maintenance processing, then environment, then you go to work center and then work center, and then you see display, and you are able to display your work center. Okay, as we move on, these things will make more sense to you. For now, you just have to take it like that. Okay, so you can see that all the answers are true, true, and true. So this has brought us to the end of today's class. And um, thanks for your time. If you have any question, you can ask. So this is going to be the last theoretical class we're going to be having. So going forward in our next class, we're going to be looking at the next topic, which is, let's see what it is. So next class is very important. Technical objects. So look at technical objects, functional location, technical object equipment, technical object bill of material. So all this we're going to be looking at. So if you have a question on what we have done so far, please kindly indicate or ask your question before we call it a day today. And it's also paramount that you understand these concepts, what they mean, so you are not backwards. When we start applying them as we move on, it will be very, very easy for us. Uh, uh, I can see nobody is. Are you going to share your notepad? Okay, notepad notes too. No, for me, you have a video, you have this video, and all these things are here already. You can always pause, look at it very well, and move. But I have a manual here that I need to share to all of you. These manuals I mentioned here, all these manuals. PLM 300 is about 407 pages. This one too, 315, 318. So all this I need to share. I tried to share it the last time, but the sizes are too big to share. I don't know, it wasn't really moving. So maybe I'll have to explore other means to share this. I've not tried Google. I'll try Google this time and see if that works. So, but I have a plan to. I really wish to share this to you so you can start reading. This will help you to prepare for your exams. And again, this we explain things in more details. You would read these things and you understand even more than what I explained in this class, because this class is more of a practical class than theory. Theory you will read yourself and you get it. So that's the highest we can do on theory, which is a summary of most of the things we'll be looking at. Maybe Telegram. Okay. So, Minaga Joshua, can you ask your question, please?
Okay, so thank you so much. It's not a question anyway. I had very serious network issues, so I'm actually looking forward to the material for our class today so that I can just go through because I was almost an hour 30 minutes late in today's class.
Okay. Not a problem. First I will share this video. If you can replay this video, then you will lose nothing. You would have um updated yourself. Even the things you missed, you would have gotten them after watching this video. Then for the materials, yes, for sure, I will share the materials with you. This material I'm using here, I normally don't share this one because it's just, there's nothing much here. It's just highlight. So what you gain from this one is the explanation I give, which is on record. So even if you need a material, as you're playing the video, you can pause and read it and also listen to the explanation. So this is like the curriculum I'm following. So it will not make much meaning. By the time you finish this training, you can use this other material to also develop your own curriculum and do your trainings to people. Okay. Because actually we are training you to be able to train others. Okay, any other question? Okay, thank you and have a good night rest. For those of you who are in Nigeria, and then those of you in Canada, enjoy your afternoon.
All right, Mr. Paul, thank you so much for your class.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, peace. Omoridion, I've seen your email. I'll take note of it. For others, I already have your emails.
Okay, thank you very much.